Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and families all across Greater West Bloomfield are looking to spend some all-important quality time together. Well, recently in the community, West Bloomfield Parks put together a lovely event to help a few families get a bit of a head start. The annual mother-son dance, High Tops and High Heels, took place last Friday, and I spoke with a few local moms to hear what the dance and the experience meant to them and their kids.
This is our second year, and we have really enjoyed ourselves. It's fun, it's memorable, and it's just a good time out with my little guy.
And what do you see in your son when he's spending this time with you and he's getting to dance with you and just have a night with you all to himself?
I see the twinkle in his eyes, and I see that baby that I first held on February 8th of 2016, and I see him growing and blossoming, and he's just everything to me.
Oh, he remembers it every year. He brings it up. He is the one who asks me each year if we're going to come back. So it's just a special time that he and I spend together. All the moms, all the kids are just having such a good time. And you guys have so many cool things for all different kids, right? You have kids who like to dance and they're outgoing. You have kids who love balloon animals and art and the photo booth and everything. So my son's a little quieter, so he enjoys all the other activities that you guys have, and I think that's pretty unique.
I mean, I feel like, November, December is all about family. And when you think about family, I think about being with my children, being with my husband. And so with it being November, December, and Thanksgiving is next week, Christmas is next month, it just makes me feel really, really happy.
What does it mean to be strengthening your own family unit by attending events like these?
It makes me realize that when I spend this quality time with my son, it is putting him out there into the world one day, understanding the importance of family. When we spend quality time like this, it makes him understand how important family truly is.
I think it's just a great blessing to be able to do this and build community bonds. And we actually came with some friends that we invited, and it's just been great to spend time with them in a different setting, and we've had a ball.
It helps bring to essence the meaning of community, coming together, gathering together, doing things together, laughing together, and making memories together.
Last question. What do you have to say to the great people at West Bloomfield Parks who put on events like this every single year?
West Bloomfield Parks and Rec, thank you so much. Thank you for creating an opportunity for us to come together, be together, and make memories. It's wonderful. Thank you.
West Bloomfield Parks making memories all throughout the holiday season. Lots of fun at the High Tops and High Heels event, and plenty more fun to take place throughout the rest of the year. In case you missed it, the Orchard Lake St. Mary's Eaglets are heading back to Ford Field. Over the weekend, the Eaglets dominated Portage Central with a score of 42-7, cementing their spot in the Division II state finals. They will be having their matchup in the Lions' Den against the Dexter Dreadnoughts, and if they win that matchup, they will repeat as Division II state champs. The game is scheduled for Friday, November 28th at 7 p.m. at Ford Field. Best of luck to the Eaglets. Let's see them take it home and become back-to-back champions. Step back in time and rediscover the joy of play at the Vintage Games Open House on Sunday, December 14th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Orchard Lake Museum by the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. This family-friendly event invites guests of all ages to explore the magic of classic toys while learning about the newest inductees to the Strong's National Toy Hall of Fame. With free admission, donations are appreciated. Visitors can get hands-on with a charming collection of vintage games and toys, sparking nostalgia for adults and curiosity for younger generations. It's a delightful opportunity to celebrate the timeless creativity, history, and fun found in the toys that have shaped childhood for decades. And with Christmas coming up very, very soon, it is a very topical theme for an event like this. Hope to see a lot of people out there. Recently, a historic election took place in Orchard Lake Village. Duane Sonneville won re-election to the Orchard Lake City Council, but the way it occurred was quite the unique circumstance. After all the votes were tallied, the vote ended in a tie between Duane and her opponent, Sean O'Brien. Therefore, thanks to a statute enacted in 1955, a simple coin flip and 2 folded sheets of paper decided the tiebreaker. Duane Sonneville won the coin toss and got to choose between one of 2 papers, identically folded and placed within a box, one labeled elected and one labeled not elected. And as you can see on the screen, if you're watching on Civic Center TV, Duane Sonneville selected the one that said elected, and she will serve another 3-year term. She joined us on the Splash Live recently to share her thoughts on this historic election result.
Duane, welcome to the program and congratulations.
Thank you for having me, Tyler.
Yeah, happy to have you on to talk about this because it's probably the most interesting local election outcome we'll ever see in our lifetimes here in Greater West Bloomfield. Certainly going to be the case making history in the city of Orchard Lake Village. So for you, in this case, how does it feel to be not only re-elected, but to be re-elected with this interesting outcome?
Well, we've gotten a lot of attention because of the tie. And I said, when you think about the number of votes between us, it was close to 500. It really can kind of give you pause that we ended up with the exact same number. I used to go in the fall to Oakland Community College to try and get students to register. This was before you could register when you got your driver's license. Mm-hmm. And one of the poli-sci professor came out and asked me if I would come in and talk to his class about the importance of every vote counting. And he was aware of it because he'd run for something in the past and lost by 1 vote. At that time, I had not planned to run for elected office. And little would I know that when I did, his record would pale in comparison to mine for a tie vote.
And so with that being the case, what message do you have to the greater public? Because of your advocacy before, now being involved in an historic election result like this, a tie in the Orchard Lake Village City Council election in 2025, what's your message to the voters or those that maybe don't participate in these local elections in between the presidential or the gubernatorial cycles on just how important their vote can be?
In general, Orchard Lake usually has a very good turnout, most by absentee vote. This year, we only had 23.1% turnout of the eligible voters to cast a ballot. My best guess is I think they are in general content with how the city is being run and thought they would be well served whether I was elected or Sean was elected. It's a very low turnout in general for our city. But the nice thing about this is we run as nonpartisans in the city. So it reminds us that we are there to serve all of our constituents, whether they voted for us or not, whether it was a tie vote or a landslide. And so I hope all of them feel free to contact me with any questions or concerns they might have.
Duran Sonneville is with us now, once again re-elected to the Orchard Lake Village City Council in a historic outcome, a tie vote that led to a tiebreaker that was formatted way back in the statute in 1955. We actually have a video from your husband, Christian, Duran, of the moment that this tie was broken. Let's take a look at that for those at home.
Sit down.
Unbelievable.
Oh. Congratulations.
Sonneville has drawn the elected slip.
Congratulations. Wow.
Declared
Wow.
elected to office.
Wow.
Hopefully this ends the matter.
Even in the moment of a loss, Sean O'Brien, the other candidate in that race, big smile on his face, knowing he's part of history and knowing that his hometown, the city of Orchard Lake Village, is in good hands as well. Duran, that moment special for you in this case, and to the winner goes the spoils in those situations too, but to have that friendly of a race and this sort of an outcome, what does that say about these local elections, and in particular the spirit of the city of Orchard Lake Village?
We spent both the entire election day at the polls and chatting, and neither of us were going to be worried about the outcome. We both knew that the other cared about our city and would give it his or her all. And so we went into it. It was a very collegial afternoon. And as you could see, even at the time of the election, when we picked the pieces of paper, that I would have been fine had Sean been chosen, and you could see he was fine. He's a great candidate, and in fact, when I was sworn in on Monday, I did mention I hope that he stays involved in local politics because he has a lot to offer our city.
And it's a very different kind of involvement in public service to be serving on city council or on a board or commission versus volunteering in the community. You've done both over the years. How much similarities and how much of a difference are there between volunteering with a community organization like you've done in the past with the Historical Society and in other capacities versus serving on a local board, a local commission, or in your case, city council?
It gives us a voice at the table. I've attended city council meetings for years, and I guess it didn't matter which side of the desk I sat on, but it's nice to be on the back side of the desk so that my voice, I can add input to the direction that we try to take.
And you mentioned earlier on that you hope Sean O'Brien, your competition in this particular race, stays involved in local politics. But this also could be one of those calling cards to a lot of other people across the city of Orchard Lake Village and the other Greater West Bloomfield communities to get involved themselves, learn more about the political process, and especially at that local level. Why do you hope more people get involved in their local politics, Duran?
Well, as you know, it takes a lot to run. You're putting yourself out there. And so I hope because of this added attention with the tie, that it will be a reminder to our other citizens that if you have an area of expertise or you have a desire, we have committees and we can always use people. We need a variety of voices in our city.
Duran Sonneville is with us, Orchard Lake City Council member who won her recent re-election in historic fashion. A tie vote in the city of Orchard Lake Village led to a coin flip that allowed her to choose between two different sheets of paper, one that read elected and one that read not elected. She, of course, chose elected. Duran, before we let you go, such an historic moment and an interesting moment. You got the paper with you right there.
What a small piece of paper to make a difference. I plan, because it is historic, to donate it to the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society to be used as a reminder every fall about elections and make your voice heard.
There are no small races when it comes to our local elections. Every single one of those votes counts, and this is the perfect example. Duran, before we let you go and move on with your day, I have one final question for you. Because of the outcome of this, because of how everything turned out and all the luck in this case turning in your favor, when it came down to the decision, heads or tails?
Well, actually, I didn't get to choose. They give you either heads or tails. And I don't know how it was decided, whether it was done like alphabetically because heads comes before tails, as does O'Brien before Sonneville. But they do that. They assign that part, and then they flip the coin. They laughed. They had one other time when they flipped it outside and tried to do a little bit of a ceremony, and it rolled into a koi pond, so they had to repeat it. This time they held it inside to make sure there would be no problems. And it fell on tails, and so it was up to me to choose, and I can feel both pieces of paper. I happen to be lucky enough to pick the right one.
And the story just gets more and more interesting and compelling as we dive deeper into it. Duane, thank you so much for your time today to tell us your side of the tale here. And of course, we'll hear plenty more about it over the years with the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. Duane, thank you so much for your time today.
Tyler, thank you for having me.
Quite the historic event in Orchard Lake Village. Big congratulations once again to Duane on this incredible win. Hope to see her make a huge difference with the people of Orchard Lake Village. With SNAP benefits possibly being taken away, the need for food drives and pantries is higher than ever, especially around a time like the holidays. Valuable resources are available all throughout Greater West Bloomfield, including Hospitality House's food pantry. Susan Erspammer, the executive director of Hospitality House, joined us on The Splash recently to tell us how the pantry is managing and navigating through this busy time of the year. Susan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, really happy to have you with us. Very important discussion to be having around this time of year. Jumping right into it, can you give us a brief overview of Hospitality House's food drive program and how it supports your client choice pantry?
Yeah, typically local businesses, schools, and community partners reach out to us for information about our food drive. We talk them through the process, provide flyers, answer any questions, and can also direct them to our website, hhfp.org, for information about the food drives. How they support our client choice food pantry is by giving us a variety of food. So when we purchase food from gleaners, we're getting all of the same thing. And when people do food drives for us, we're getting a variety of items to put on our shelves. For example, if I'm buying food from gleaners, I'm getting a pallet of cornflakes. But when I get a food drive, we're getting some fun cereals in there and just a good variety of items to put on our shelves and more items during this time with increased demand.
That's right, a wide variety of items for everybody who needs them. And I would imagine as the year goes on, like at certain points of the year, maybe certain items are more popular than certain other items. What unique needs do you see from families during the holiday season, and how do food drives help to meet those needs?
Well, the holiday seasons are a very difficult time for families who don't have the financial resources to purchase all sorts of items for their family and for their children. It's a very challenging time. So when people do food drives for us or support us in that way, if we're helping people to have groceries, food in their refrigerators, foods in their cupboard, they can direct their money in other areas to help not just support their family, but bring joy during the holiday season. We do, for our clients, have a Thanksgiving program that has grown significantly, where we give out meal boxes and a turkey. 3 years ago, we were at about 385 families. It grew last year to 516. This year, we're anticipating 650 families have signed up to get our Thanksgiving meal box with a turkey as well. And then in December, we have Holiday House, where we're providing a meal, but we're also providing gift cards so families can go out and buy gifts for their kids under the age of 18. We give them winter gear during this time, books. We have a raffle for toys. So we're supporting families as much as we can.
That's right. And I love hearing those numbers go up. You're helping as many families as possible, and that number keeps growing every single year. Susan, how do you balance holiday-focused donations with the year-round food security needs of your clients?
Yeah, so obviously good budgeting. So there is an influx of money at the end of the year with people contributing to our program. So we have to sustain that money throughout the year. But we also have events. So we have our Taste of Spring coming up in 2026 on March 11th, and a golf outing in July. And we apply for grants, and we do encourage year-round giving. But yes, it is challenging.
I'd imagine so, but it's great that you guys are putting in the work and you're doing all this great stuff for Greater West Bloomfield. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with the Executive Director of the Hospitality House Food Pantry, Susan Erspammer, talking about what the pantry provides, especially at a time like this, as I mentioned, with concerns about possible SNAP benefit reductions. With those concerns, how vital are community resources like yours right now, Susan?
They're very vital. Not only Hospitality House Food Pantry, but all food pantries across the community. With the pause in SNAP benefits, we saw unprecedented numbers at our pantry. We had a 66% increase in 1 month of new clients seeking our support. And that doesn't even count clients who may have stopped seeing us for a while, but once SNAP was cut, they needed to come back and they needed our source. Food pantries became a lifeline to individuals that were no longer receiving their SNAP benefits. We don't typically have lines through our pantry because we're appointment based, but we had lines going through our pantry of people seeking our support.
66% increase. That is a big jump, and that's showing what might happen if these restrictions continue to come. And if SNAP benefits were cut entirely, what impact would you expect on your pantry and overall demand for food assistance?
Yeah, if SNAP benefits were cut, I can't even imagine it, because what we just experienced is unsustainable for the long term. So SNAP benefits provide 9 meals to an individual, where a food pantry provides 1 to that every 9. So those cash benefits that individuals are getting so they can go to the grocery store to purchase items are vital. So if those were cut and people are turning to food pantries to get all of their food, like I said, it would be unsustainable in the long run, but food pantries would have to gear up. We would have to find more financing and more support so that we could meet the demand. Hospitality House never turns anyone away who comes here for support. If somebody comes to us and says they're hungry, they're going to get food. So we would find a way, but it would involve much more support from the community, from the government, and from various areas.
And that's why
I would hate to see it.
I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
I said I would hate to see it. The faces of people who come here, the tears we saw, people not knowing where else to turn. I would hate to see it if SNAP were ever to be permanently cut.
I would hate to see that as well, and that's why conversations like this are so important, to get the message out there and to send out the call for people to come by and to help out. So if people are watching this and they wanted to help out Hospitality House or any food pantry, what items would you say are the most helpful for donors to focus on, especially during the holidays or during periods of increased need?
Yeah, so monetary contributions are key. We can take our money and stretch it further to buy different food items. When people do food drives for us, items such as, I know I already mentioned cereal, our breakfast items, soup, skillet meals, personal care items, even when SNAP, people are getting their SNAP benefits, it doesn't cover incontinence supplies or feminine hygiene products. So we always like it when we get those types of items to support individuals. Really anything. But like I said, with monetary contributions, where somebody may donate us 1 can, I might be able to buy 2 to 4 cans.
All right, great things for everybody to remember and to help out with Hospitality House. And I'd imagine this work, I mean, it extends beyond the residents of the community, but how do you work with schools, businesses, local organizations to coordinate effective food drives?
Yeah, and I do want to point out during this challenging time with the pause and snaps, there was an outpouring of community support. So schools and businesses were coming to us wanting to do food drives. We work with Walled Lake Consolidated Schools. We work with many businesses. If they just reach out to us and through HHF, they can reach out to us. They can see information about the food drives. But if they reach out to us, we'll walk them through how they can best support us. Without the support of community businesses, the schools, and individuals in the community, there really wouldn't be a Hospitality House. We're here because of that support.
You're absolutely right. It's the collective efforts of so many people in the Greater West Bloomfield community and beyond. A few more questions for you, Susan. Let's say people are watching this and maybe they want to host a food drive themselves. What advice would you give to groups who want to host a food drive that truly supports your highest priority needs?
Yeah, like I said, they can log on to our website and see some basic information, but reach out to us. We want to have a conversation with you. We want to give you information on how you can support us. Groups who do this, if groups can keep in mind, it doesn't need to be a large business. It could be a small business. It could be your book club is meeting and you want to have a food drive during your book club. You could be having a euchre party. You could be having people over to watch the Super Bowl or other football games. I know some people have a theme for Super Bowl. So reach out to us, get creative with your ideas for a food drive, but realize we are here to support you in those efforts.
And that's great to hear, Susan. And looking forward, what would you say are your biggest goals for strengthening food assistance in the community, especially if federal support becomes a little less reliable?
Yeah, so we need to continue to diversify our funding streams if the federal support continues to dry up. So we need to look at a variety of ways we can bring in support to the pantry so that we can meet the growing community demand, as well as volunteer recruitment. Volunteers are the backbone of Hospitality House, and we couldn't do what we do without our volunteers. So our volunteers allow us to focus our resources on food and purchasing that. And again, they're the backbone of our organization. One of our goals is also looking for a permanent location. We're going to be looking for a hospitality home. We're going to need a larger facility to meet this growing demand, not only to store food, but to have our client choice food pantry so people have somewhere to shop. And we need to increase our community visibility. We need people to know that we're not only here to support them, but that we need support. So it's twofold. We want the community to know we're here for them, as well as getting support from the community, whether it's monetary contributions, whether it's food drives, or like I just explained, how volunteers are so important to us during this challenging time.
All right. Awesome ways for everybody to get involved. Susan, I want to thank you so much for having this conversation here on The Splash. Real quick before we let you go, if you could provide maybe one more reminder for people for where they should go if they want to learn more information about the food drive and how they can help.
Yeah, please visit our website at hhfp.org and reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to tell you about how we can support you and how you can support us.
All right, that's the place to go, and that is the place to help out just in time for the holiday season. Susan, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Thank you so much for having me and bringing attention to this.
Resources like this are more important than ever, especially around a time like the holidays. So we really appreciate Susan for taking the time to talk with us here on The Splash Live. Plenty of other stories and topics to get into here on The Splash Live. We're going to take a quick break and jump into those stories right after this. Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. What people are watching in Orchard Lake, Civic Center TV, and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Hi, I'm Chris Fry, Park Superintendent, West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations, Civic Center TV, on 1 million views on YouTube. Thank you for all you do in the community, and thank you for having me on The Splash throughout the season to talk about activities out in the parks. Chris Fry, proud to be 1 in a million.
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy, and if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on civiccentertv.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at civiccentertv.com and click schedule at the top of the screen. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Jake Schaff. West Bloomfield High School is bringing a powerful classic to the stage with its fall production of The Outsiders, inviting audiences into a world where loyalty, identity, and the struggle to belong collide. Adapted from S.E. Hinton's iconic novel, the play follows the raw, emotional journey of two rival groups whose lives are shaped by circumstance but defined by heart. The play is set to run on December 5th and 6th. And joining us now on The Splash Live are two of the actors in this year's production, West Bloomfield High School seniors Sela Kubiak and Brandon Young. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really, really excited about this. I mean, my inner theater geek is already starting to come out. I love hearing about the upcoming productions we got coming around in the community. Jumping right into it, can you both tell us maybe a little bit about the character that you play and the role that they play in this overall production? Sela, we'll start with you.
All right, so my character is Dandy, and she's Soda Pop's girlfriend. And she plays a really important role in the show, despite her not having as big of a part as some of the other characters, because she kind of shows how to take where you live in and mix it with your ambition to kind of put yourself out of the stereotype. So she is a greaser. She doesn't have a great family life at home, but she has a lot of ambition and big goals for herself, which you don't see amongst a lot of greasers. So she kind of instead of staying with her family, she goes to conquer her own ambition and to achieve her own goals, which is something that you won't see as much in this show. So it's kind of interesting to kind of see that difference and how people prioritize their own ambition or prioritize their family and their friends.
Brandon.
So I play Derry, or Daryl Curtis, the oldest brother of the Curtis brothers. And so he loves his brothers very deeply, but sometimes he has trouble expressing that in a kind and cuddly way. He shows tough love. And so with that, he's very misunderstood by Ponyboy. And so that leads to a scene in the show where me and Ponyboy get into a very heavy argument. And so there were some things said and things happened. And so I really have to reevaluate my teaching style and how I'm teaching him how to grow up. And so how I approached bringing Derry to life was, I love all my friends deeply. And so I feel like bringing that to the stage, just having that raw emotion towards, loving somebody like a brother or like a son, it really brings something powerful.
I love that. I love hearing about both of your connections to these roles, how you're really immersing yourself in this experience, and I think that's going to reflect on the stage very, very well. And the story of The Outsiders, it deals heavily with themes like belonging, class divide, and loyalty. How did you both connect personally to those themes while preparing for your role? Brandon, we'll start with you this time.
So with belonging, in high school, you always try and find what you want to do. Like you always try and find your tribe. And so I found that with the theater program at West Bloomfield. Absolutely amazing. They've absolutely changed my life there. And so I've just been, loyal to a lot of the people there because they've treated me with such respect and such kindness. And so truthfully, I don't know how I could ever repay them. And so I like to connect to these themes because sometimes it's hard finding the people that you can really, gel with and belong with. So I feel like it's really special that what the Greasers have and the Socias, where they have their own, cliques. And I think that's something that can really be explored on stage.
Sela, same question.
Yes. So the themes of The Outsiders are very present and you can easily pick them out. But they're also very, just like Brandon said, they're very present in the real world today, just as they were back then. Like we still have sense of belonging, we still have stereotypes and class divide amongst different groups of people. So taking these experiences that we've all experienced from high school and putting them into this show is very important. And I think it's very useful as well, especially for creating a character like Sandy, who is struggling with the way she grew up and what her goals and ambitions are. And I think that's something that every character has throughout this show is if they want to stay in their in the space in the group that they're in, or if they want to go outside of it and be their own person. And I think just like how Brandon said, we all have these own experiences from our high school and from experiences from our childhood that allow us to get to this point and allow us to put it into our character to make this show more authentic and real.
Tapping into those high school experiences, those personal experiences, and reflecting all of that on stage. That is what makes a great actor. And I think you both are going to absolutely bring it on the stage with this production. And Sela, I'm curious, what has this production taught you about friendship, identity, or empathy with this role?
Wow. So that's a great question. I really like what you said about empathy. This play has a lot of love in it as well as a lot of hatred. So it's very diverse as far as the emotions that you'll see in this show. And just the relationship between Ponyboy and Johnny throughout the entire play really shows that source of empathy and like the I get how you're feeling, I've been in your shoes. And it's really beautiful. And it's taught me a lot about how to care for others and how to relate to others. Because there's so many people from so many different walks of life and you never know what's going on with them. And at the end of the day, it's all about how they behave and how they'll act. And I think that's really important. And I think that's a great lesson that everybody should get to take away from our production.
I completely agree. Brandon, same question. What has this production taught you about friendship, identity, or empathy?
It's taught me that, everybody has something going on in their life. And so sometimes whenever they might accidentally take that stress out on you, you just have to take some time and understand it from their perspective. And so just having that empathy for people who just have, just busy and full lives. And so, just being kind to everybody and just treating everybody with kindness can really go a long way.
You are certainly right about that. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with West Bloomfield High School seniors Sela Kubiak and Brandon Young, both of whom are going to be performing in the fall production with West Bloomfield High School, the adaptation of The Outsiders, which is going to be taking place on December 5th and December 6th. And this is going to be a really great play with a lot of different messages. Out of everything, what do you hope audiences, especially students, take away from seeing this play? Brandon, we'll start with you.
I really want students and audiences to take away from this play that, even if you feel like that you don't necessarily have that group of people that you can necessarily have like a strong friendship or bond or like a brotherhood in a sense, that you will find that. And sometimes it takes time. It just doesn't just fall into your lap. Like just in an instant. It takes time. And so in that process of finding those people that you can really be with, you also learn things about yourself. And so I feel like that's something that I really want audience to take away, is that, you know, take the time to learn more about yourself before you can find your tribe and find your people.
Sela, same question.
That's a great question as well. So our play does have a lot of themes and a lot of ideas and concepts to discover and unfold. So there's a lot you could take away, but I think one major thing that every person should feel is kind of like what we said before, that everybody has something going on in their life and everybody has a past and a background. And the best way to push through that is to just believe in yourself, trust in the people that love you, trust in the people that you love, so that you can create the best future for yourself in whatever way that may mean to you. So like for Sandy, that may mean going out and doing bigger things outside of this town that they live in. Or like for Derry, that just means to take care of his brothers. And there's so many different like goals and ambitions that are seen throughout this play, and priorities as well. So I think the one thing that the audience members could take away is to just use the people you love, trust in the people that you love, to make the best future for yourself despite your past.
I love that. All very insightful messages to take away from this play. I did just think of this question. Both of you are seniors right now, so that means you're entering your final year of high school. And I don't know how long you each have been involved with the theater department, but what does it mean to be entering your final year of high school, your final year of being a part of this theater team? Sela.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question again one more time?
Of course. You're both entering your final year of high school, your senior year of high school. What does it mean to be entering, presumably, your final year of your theater career here at West Bloomfield?
Oh, okay. So it's been a whirlwind so far this year. Me and Brandon were both going into college for theater. So we are very excited about that. We've done a lot of auditions, but it's also been kind of melancholy because we've been with this theater program since we were freshmen, and now we get to kind of look back and see all the memories and the people we got to meet. And it's been really fun so far this year. Me and Brandon, we both got to direct the children's show in the fall, which is where we focused on casting underclassmen to make a show for kids. And that was a lot of fun. We got to meet some of the new underclassmen coming in. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been kind of sad, but we've had a lot of time to just reflect and to just grow deeper in our friendship and our friendship with other people in the theater program. And we're just having a fun year so that we can end this year off with a good note.
Brandon, what about you?
So, yeah, I mean, sometimes, I think when I'm just alone, I'm like, dang, like, it's my senior year. I'm almost done. And so it's honestly kind of crazy that, like what Sela said, we've been doing this since our freshman year, and now we're in our senior year, and we've done so much as a department and just as friends. And so really right now, a lot of our focus is to do the best that we can for the theater department now, but also look into strengthening our department in the future and seeing what we can do with that.
You're absolutely right. That senior year sneaks up on you very, very quickly, but it's what you do in that time that makes the impact, and both of you guys are doing that absolutely with everything you're doing with this play. I can't wait to see what's to come. I got one more question for both of you before we wrap things up. In one sentence, how would you describe this production and why? Sela.
If I could describe this play in one sentence, it would probably be in a world full of violence and uncertainty, trust in yourself and the people you love, which is kind of something I talked about earlier in this interview. But I like that sentence because it kind of shows you, despite your past, you can still make your own future for yourself and make yourself the best you can be. Don't focus on your past, and don't try and just hold yourself into this little bubble. Like, you can expand. You see that a lot through like Pony Boy as he's going through this experience throughout this production of trying to see, like, does he want to be like the other greasers he's around, or does he want to be his own person? And I think that's really important, to not look on the people that are around you and don't like focus on your past and things that you can't change about yourself, but focus on the things you can change to make your life the best it can be.
I love that. What about you, Brandon?
Wow, that's a really good question. I think I would have to say trust in the people that you surround yourself with, trust in your friends and family. And the reason for that is because life is going to be hard. There are going to be times when you're really going to rethink just a lot of things that are going on in your life. And so sometimes you need that family or friend to just help uplift you and just give you that motivation, give you that boost of confidence to help you get through whatever you're going through. Because, everybody needs a put up. Everybody needs an attaboy here and there. So it's just really important to surround yourself with people who are willing to do that for you with no cost.
Great answers, and I think you both are very, very well immersed in this production. Break a leg, both of you. Sela, Brandon, thank you both so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Thank you so much.
Once again, The Outsiders is going to be taking place with West Bloomfield High School on December 5th and December 6th. Tickets are available. Hope to see so many people from the community out to see this incredibly talented cast. Mojo, a beloved voice and influential figure in Michigan radio, was recently inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame, recognizing his decades-long impact on broadcasting. His induction honors his exceptional career longevity, on-air personality, and connection with Michigan audiences who have followed his work for years. And I got to speak with Mojo one-on-one not too long ago here on The Splash Live to hear what this honor means to him. Mojo, great to have you with us.
Hey, this is great. How you doing, Jake? This is awesome, and an honor to be able to be one of the million here.
It is an honor to be speaking with you, Mojo, and a big congratulations on your inductment into the Radio Hall of Fame. Let's get started. What was your first reaction when you found out this incredible news?
It's actually on our Mojo in the Morning Instagram and Facebook. They were taping it at the time. I cried. I got emotional. I started, Jake, the way that you are doing this right now. I started local cable access in my hometown in the suburbs of Chicago. And never did I ever think I was going to ever be on the radio, nor did I ever think that I'd get honored with the opportunity to be in the Radio Hall of Fame, which is part of the Museum of Broadcast Communications and is located in Chicago. And it's wild because we went there as a show and got a chance to kind of walk around. And as kids, you watch a lot of TV shows. I would watch all the time the late night shows and the daytime shows that were on. We were amongst, people that were in there, like the legendary Johnny Carson, Jimmy Fallon, as well as Bozo the Clown, like all these people. And then all the other radio people like Casey Kasem, J.P. McCarthy from, Michigan, television people like Bill Bonds, who Bill is also a West Bloomfield resident. And so it's a very cool experience, and honestly, it's a complete honor, and I don't think I deserve it, but I humbly accept it, and I hope I can become rich because of it.
Hey, you absolutely deserve this honor, Mojo, for everything that you have done to radio. And you just listed off a lot of big names, probably a lot of your idols. How does it feel to be recognized alongside some of the most iconic radio figures that there are out there?
Well, that night that I was inducted, and you've been showing pictures here on The Splash, I was inducted with Alice Cooper, who is a Detroiter and a legendary rocker, but also has an amazing radio show. There's the great picture, and you can see Alice over to the right there. Colin Cowherd has got a nationally recognized sports talk show. His show is amazing. Some of the biggest broadcasters in the business work for Julie Talbot, who is the person who was the first person inducted. She runs Premier Radio Networks. She was Rush Limbaugh's boss at one point, and now is the boss of Ryan Seacrest. So it was cool. I mean, Jake, I don't know what your aspiration is in life, but when I was working for Jones Intercable, Channel 4, and doing the local football games in the area, honestly, I thought that was the coolest moment of my life. At that moment, I was trying to live in every single moment that I was in, but I would have only dreamed of being able to be in a Hall of Fame. So, I mean, I was a kid who grew up and went to high school and never won awards at all. I couldn't win student council. Now I'm in the Radio Hall of Fame. That's pretty awesome.
That is really, really awesome. And you were just touching upon some of your past, like growing up. What originally drew you to radio, and what has kept you passionate about it all these years?
Well, I couldn't get a date otherwise. Honestly, I always say that radio draws the nerds, and then for some reason they have glow-ups once they get into radio or television. I love the idea that I could be part of people's lives. We have so many listeners that are from, my hometown of West Bloomfield. And to me, there is nothing better than getting the opportunity to make somebody's day even better than it already is going, or even better than that, if they're having the hardest day or the hardest part of their life at that moment, let them forget about it for the time that we can. So I like the idea that we go on the air, we crack the microphone. Actually, I'm sitting in the studio here, and if they want to come in, they can come walk behind. But I got Shannon and Kev and Anna who are in the studio with me, and they are, here's Shannon. Say hi to Shannon.
Guys. Hello.
I mean, Shannon, West Bloomfield. Say hi to West Bloomfield. All our Chaldeans and
hi, everybody.
My Jewish friends and my neighbors. I like, just like you, I like that there are people that happen upon maybe this and go, oh my God, that's, Mojo and Shannon and everybody from the radio. That's what they look like. And now they maybe become a fan. So my hope is that you'll listen to us and then maybe give us another try the next day. And then sometimes maybe become like addicted to listening to the show. I always say that what you do is you bring informative information to the community, letting people know about great things that are happening in West Bloomfield, which is an incredible town. My wife and I have lived in West Bloomfield for almost 26 years. I think that what we do is we talk about all the communities that we're on, including Detroit, Grand Rapids, and Toledo, which is where we're based right now.
Hey, all incredible work, and it is great to hear of how far you have come with your career. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, I'm talking with none other than Mojo in the Morning, a radio legend who was just inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame. Now, Mojo, you listed off a lot of the people that you were inducted alongside with, a lot of people who you grew up listening to. Are there any particular mentors, colleagues, or even some listeners that you'd like to credit for helping shape your career and what it is now?
Yes, I would like to credit Kool-Aid Lady, Misfit Victor, Smoker Jackie. Honestly, I started listening to radio back when I was, 10 years old, I think, maybe even younger than that. And I talked about this in my speech. My mom passed away when I was young. Radio was my escape. I listened to the radio as a way to forget about the pain that her going through cancer, dealt on me as a kid. Then when I got into radio, I got a chance to work with great, talent over the years. Like the first guy that gave me a job was a guy by the name of George McFly, who people in this area may not know, but he's a legend in Chicago. And then coming to Detroit, I had an opportunity over the years to work against Drew and Mike. Drew was a guy that I always had such a fondness for. And then honestly, you just saw Shannon just a second ago. Shannon's been my sister in radio, but also my sister in life. Now for so many years, I don't know, 12, 15, 20 years, 17 years. I know Shannon as well as anybody. We both have dealt with heartache and pain together, but we've also dealt with the highest of highs together. She keeps me sane and sensible in the studio, and I get a chance every day to work with Kevin and Anna and two great Chaldeans, Lydia and Bianca, who are incredible people. So honestly, I would say my mentors right now are truly everybody that every single day that I get a chance to work with, who come to work at a very ungodly hour of the morning and put on the greatest show, I think, in the history of Detroit radio.
I love it. And you're absolutely right. Everybody needs a strong team, and you have a very strong team with you with your show. Now, Mojo, you said that you have been on the air for about 17 years. What do you believe has been
17?
My apologies.
Shannon's been with me. So in Detroit, it's Detroit Mojo in the Morning is going to be 26 years old on February 21st. I've been on the radio. I'm 55. I've been on the air since I was 18 years old, and then when I was 17 was when I worked in cable. So I've been doing this way longer than I had ever thought I would. And honestly, I don't know anything else. If West Bloomfield wants to hire me as a crossing guard, I'll stand out in front of Orchard Lake Middle School and I'll hold that sign. But I'm hoping to do this until the end.
That's fantastic. And like you said, long time on the radio. What do you believe has been the key to maintaining such a strong connection with your audience over the years?
Being able to move with the times, to understand that you can't rest on your laurels. You got to come every single day, and having the trust that when you don't come in and have a good show, that the listeners know what a good show sounds like, and they'll be back the next day, and you just got to make sure you bring it. I always say that, we're like the the New England Patriots, that have won so many different Super Bowls. People always know what it's like to win a Super Bowl. The year that we don't win a Super Bowl is when they'll talk the most. We're going to have bad days, but you know what? Our goal is we're going to try to come and bring it the next day and make it just as good. And then the other thing, too, is living in the community. People see me in West Bloomfield. Like people know where we all live because we talk about where we live and what we're all about. And I think that just like the fact that I've taken to West Bloomfield as my hometown, I think that people get that, and they don't want to hear a nationally syndicated show. So that's always been a plus for us.
Well, you have made such an impact, and I cannot wait to see what else there is to come in the future with you, Mojo. There's so much more to see. And going back to the Hall of Fame recognition, how do you hope that this recognition reflects on your legacy in broadcasting?
Well, I'm not dying and I'm not retiring. So I hope that people, usually in sports, you only get a Hall of Fame when you're retired. So I hope that people don't think that this is the end. I still have many more years that I want to do this. And I think our show has many more years of doing great radio. But I hope that the legacy of what we all do and what I do personally is that people say there was humility in what they did, but damn, they were really good, and always came to work every single day trying to do the best job that they possibly could.
And people look up to you every single day. Once again, Mojo in the Morning, joining us on The Splash this morning to talk about his recent induction into the Radio Hall of Fame. Now, Mojo, as somebody who's been in radio for quite a long time, a lot of people look up to you. A lot of people see you as a source of inspiration. What advice would you give to young broadcasters trying to make their mark, especially in today's fast-changing media environment?
I would say don't ever give up. Accept every opportunity that comes your way. My first on-air job came because somebody called in sick 10 straight days in a row, and there wasn't anybody to fill in on the 10th day. So I was always there hoping that I would get the call to be the person that would go on the air. And I knew that the moment that I was put into the game, I was going to give it my all. So in life, no matter if it's radio or if it's becoming a teacher or a police officer or firefighter, whatever it might be, always be there, always show up, always be willing to take whatever job that they're willing to give, and then give it your all. And if you got talent, they'll see that. And in my case, I don't think my talents were what got me to this point. I think it was definitely the hard work and the dedication of making sure that each and every day I was going to be great for whoever I was working for.
Hey, hard work and dedication means so much, and it's what everybody needs to get to where they want to go. Now, Mojo, radio has always been about connecting with people. What would you say has been the most rewarding part of that connection for you?
Well, we are about to get into the holidays here right now, and our Mojo in the Morning Breaking and Entering Christmas Wish program, which year after year we've always made sure that we had at least a resident from West Bloomfield. We get help through the West Bloomfield PD and the West Bloomfield Fire Department, where they'll help us nominate some families. But that is one of those things where I want to plug this, because and I know West Bloomfield is always thought of as an affluent area, but there's not nobody understands that there's people struggling in a town like West Bloomfield. And now with everything, being the way that it is in our country, there are even more people struggling. I want people to go, our West Bloomfield residents, go to mojoswish.org and send us a letter that we can grant a wish for you, so that every kid, every family can have a holiday, whether you're going through illness or you're going through financial hardship. Don't be proud, put that aside and tell us what's going on. That, I think, has been a great legacy. We started this 501c3 after just literally dipping into our own personal pockets and granting wishes using like as little as $1,000 to spread amongst a number of different people. And now we've almost raised $1 million over the years to break break into people's homes, so to speak. This is what we do. We go on the air, surprise people early in the morning, and then say, hey, can we break in and bring Christmas to you? Because nobody ever breaks into somebody's home and leaves things. They always take things. And then we set up the tree and the gifts and all that stuff. That's such a great legacy. That's always incredible. So I'm very, very proud of that as a lasting legacy that will forever be part of the history of the Mojo in the Morning Show.
I love it. I love hearing about all the work that you're doing to give back to the community. That's so great to hear, Mojo, and we appreciate everything that you do. I'd love to keep talking with you, but I got one more question before we wrap things up. Now that you've achieved this milestone, what's next for you? Either personally or professionally, what's next?
I'm going to Red Coat for a burger. No. Honestly, what's next is to wrap this year up strong and to come back and continue to just keep doing great radio. I'm hoping that the Lions win a Super Bowl, Pistons win a NBA championship, the Tigers win the World Series, and the Red Wings win a Stanley Cup. Honestly, nothing is ever different than from getting the award to not getting the award. It's the same thing. I drive Orchard Lake Road every single day to and from, and I know when the construction's going on and when there's no construction. So I don't know. Maybe I'll run for West Bloomfield supervisor or something like that. I don't know. I actually have had people ask me if I would ever get into politics. And the problem is, I got too much of a bad past. It would, there's no way that anybody would ever allow that.
I mean, I'd vote for you. I think you do so much greatness around the community and across the radio airwaves. I cannot wait to see what's to come. Mojo, thank you so much for joining us here on the program today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you to what you do, because honestly, when there's nothing on television and I'm looking for something, I watch The Splash.
And that's going to do it for us today on the show. From all of us here at The Splash Live, hope you have a happy Thanksgiving and a great weekend. Big thank you to all of our guests and for everybody on the Splash Live team for making this show possible. I've been your host, Jake Schaff. Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV.